This is another one of those parking charge notice cases that really irritates me, almost as much as this ongoing illness irritates me. But nonetheless, my viewer wrote to me fairly distraught, saying that they stayed in a Premier Inn. And when they got to the desk, because this was free parking for visitors to the Premier Inn, as long as you register your vehicle at reception. So he went along to reception and said, please allow me to register my vehicle. They said, this machine is not working, you need to use this one here, and invited him to enter his details on something else, another terminal. And he tells me that he did that immediately. Only, you've probably guessed it by now, it didn't register the vehicle correctly, it didn't register the parking session, so of course he's now received a notice to keeper and a parking charge notice served upon him. And so this, beyond anything else, is probably going to land him in court if they really try to pursue this, which I think is absolutely absurd. Because if everything he's told me is true, and I've no reason to believe that it isn't, and he'll no doubt go along to tell the court that, then unless they can disprove what he's saying, this has no business being anywhere near a court, because it is a complete waste of the court's time. So here's how that would pan out. If this parking company decide to pursue this all the way to court, they will obviously draft up a claim and any kind of evidence that they seek to use against him, that being the photographs of the number plate going in and out of the car park, which incidentally was for precisely the number of days that he stayed at the hotel. So the only thing that they could really hang this on is that he didn't register the parking session at reception. But on his evidence, which is what he would go to court and say, not that this is legal advice, it's not, but what he would say if he was going to court is, well, this is what I did. I parked at the car park. I was staying there for 2 days. I went to reception. This is what he's told me. So this is what would transpire to become a witness statement. And that will be his primary evidence in court, open for rebuttal, but that will be his primary evidence. And he was told to enter his details on the other machine, this laptop or whatever it was, because the main terminal to enter your parking wasn't working. And that clearly didn't work. It was clearly not successful. He had no idea that it was not successful, I presume, and therefore no session was noted, and if they do take him, they are now taking him to court for it. So if they want to challenge this, they are going to have to raise sufficient rebuttal to that evidence. And unless they bring whoever it was behind the counter or serve up the CCTV that proves that he didn't actually try to enter his details in another machine or something else, and unless there's anyone else that can testify to say, yes, I saw that guy, he walked straight past, didn't enter his vehicle into this machine or anything else, and completely rebut his story, then the evidence is only going to be that of my viewer, which is he entered his details as he was told to do in the adjacent machine, which didn't do it correctly. That's no fault of his if the machine's not working properly. And on the balance of probabilities, the court is going to prefer his evidence unless there is sufficient rebuttal. And I'm not quite sure what that would be. It would have to be something along the lines of CCTV evidence to contradict his story, or some witness evidence that would contradict his story. There has to be some evidence that contradicts his story, because if he says that he did register it with Premier Inn, and that should have gone onto their system and in turn be managed by this Park Maven company, then ultimately he's done all he can. He's fulfilled his requirement to register his vehicle at reception, and it's not his fault if the system didn't work, because to hold him accountable for the system not working would be ridiculous. And if there was a term that said that he was liable if their system didn't work, that would be an unfair term, and that would be unenforceable anyway. So in my view, this is just ridiculous. And it's quite clear that if he sent evidence that he stayed at this hotel to this company and said, I was here, and here's what happened, and he's told me what happened, and he's told them what happened, and not only that, he's sent this recorded and I think even special delivery to this company, one of which was returned, as in they said that the company's gone away, so the address was incorrect, and all sorts of other things that are going wrong here. Because when you're issued a parking charge notice, there should be a proper physical address to which you can send your representations. And that has to be a proper address, not just a PO box, and it has to actually be an address that can receive these representations. And if not, then that will be another argument that I'd bring up in court and say, I tried to contact this company, I tried to tell them the story, and it's just bounced back. They just kept sending me these things, and then they've eventually taken you to court. I hope for my viewers' sake they don't take him to court, because I think this one is ridiculous. I think if this does get to court and my viewer does provide this evidence to the court, unless there is serious rebuttal to that story, the court is going to take that evidence for what it is. He's given his details to reception, and that should be the end of his obligation. Let me know what you think in the comments to this one. I think this is another one that just shouldn't be anywhere near a courtroom. It is an utter waste of court's time, because it's quite clear from his story what has happened. And as I say, unless there's anything missed, the court would likely find the same. Just remember, my videos are not legal advice, but I hope they provide some guidance for you to put your own case together. I know many of you have. Many of you have been successful with that, and I'm very grateful to hear your stories. So do remember to like the video and subscribe. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you next time.